Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 13th of November 2019. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then, a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, and specifically our JFD research page, which you can also check out on a daily basis. And yep, I believe you guys, you can find some useful stuff here, useful information. So feel free to visit us here on jfdbank.com and click on the research tab right here, and it will take you to our page. So now then, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the DAX, so the German index. I haven't looked at this one for quite a while, and basically previously what I was saying, that we were targeting the area near the 13,370 zone, and just to show you what that level was here in the past, that's basically the was the high of the 26th of January 2018. So the index didn't quite manage to reach that area. You can see that yesterday the index hit this level of resistance. Let me just quickly put this one on the chart here. So this was near the 13,300 zone. Now, looking at the cash index right now, the market is still closed, but the cash index is running, and looking at that one, we are seeing a bit of a decline here. Now, in a way, if this decides to drift lower and starts getting closer to the this little area of support right here near the 13,144 zone, roughly around here, marked by the low of Monday, and then we will be very careful here, because in a way we could be getting ourselves, in that case, a nice double top here on the shorter time frame, and we could see maybe a bit of a decline here, but the only thing is that we're not going to rush into this yet in terms of declines, because I do understand that on one hand it is quite maybe overstretched to the upside, especially if we compare it to this upside support line here taken from the low of the 15th of August. So in a way, we can see that the index has kind of distanced itself already from this upside line. So a lot of empty space around here. Of course, it would be nice to see maybe this one correcting back down, and then before another leg of buying later on. But of course, well, the market doesn't do what we want to do, but it does whatever it wants to do. So, so for now, basically, how we could play this one out is, of course, keep your eyes on this 13,300 zone. If we get a break above this, then yes, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could aim for that 13,370 zone. But if this starts sliding lower here, all this territory right here will be our somewhat of a neutral zone. We're not going to do anything here. We're just going to continue observing the price action. But if the index starts dropping below the 13,144 zone, then yep, this is where we will start considering lower areas here. So for now, we're just going to continue observing this one, but keep your eyes on these two potential breakout points, the 13,300 zone and the 13,144 on the downside. WTI Oil, I haven't looked at this one for quite a while, but still the same kind of picture remains here, so it's quite interesting. Let me actually get rid of these two lines. I mean, we still do have a rising channel. The only thing is I want to put this one in a slightly more nicer kind of form here. So we do have our nice rising channel pattern here, in a way where this is what we're still keeping an eye on. For now, guys, as long as it kind of remains inside this pattern, inside this rising channel formation, we are going to stay positive here. We're going to continue monitoring the upside, even though we are seeing a bit of sideways activity right now, but that's still fine. In a way, it could continue moving sideways until it hits, let's say, the lower bound of the rising channel, and then pushes higher, pushes back to the north. So but if suddenly by any chance this starts breaking the lower bound, then yep, we'll start considering the downside. So for now, guys, all this is kind of really pretty much straightforward. Even if we see a bit of a decline here, still, as long as it remains inside the this rising channel, we could continue pushing further north. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. I'm trying to capture this here. So basically I'm trying to make it much nicer, because we do have a bit of an overshoot here, but nevertheless roughly around here, guys. Keep your eyes on this channel, and like I said, let's see what kind of possibilities it will present us. For now, it seems that the main possibility is to the upside. For you, if you're willing to trade this, and how you could look at this, probably the suggestion here would be just stay put for now, because it is at a very interesting spot here where in a way it could drift lower here. It could test the 200 EMA, or maybe, like I said, the lower side of the lower bound of the rising channel, or it could actually start reversing to the upside. In a way, if you with the upside, you could just wait for a push above the 57.81 zone, roughly around here, and then aim for slightly higher levels. I do understand we're missing out a bit of a move here, but it is how it is, guys. Right now, it is kind of moving sideways, so it would be a bit of a gamble here to try to maybe predict which exactly way it could go, at least in the short run. Jumping into a few pairs now. The NZD. So all the NZD pairs. Those are the center intention this morning. Basically, we did get the monetary policy statement from the RBNZ, and the bank was expected to cut its rate, but suddenly it decided to remain at the previous 1%. So the expectation was that it's going to cut its rate to 0.75%. Yep, it remained at 1%. So this is the reaction that we've got here on NZDJPY. So to be honest, across all the NZD pairs, basically where NZD skyrocketed and pushed higher against all of its major counterparts. For now, I've looked at this one previously, basically, and this is what I just wanted to quickly recap on this one. I've looked at this one previously, and basically I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this little range here that we've got ourselves in. The pair continues to work inside this range nicely. It did drift lower. It found support near the 200 EMA here, near the lower side of this range at 69 zone, and you can see that this morning it just exploded to the upside. So for now, yes, everything seems to be quite positive, but the only thing is, don't forget that on the shorter time frame we are now quite overstretched to the upside. So a bit of correction could be possible, and you can see today, already this morning, we are above the R2 already. So in a way, if this decides to correct back down, this is the level to keep an eye on. We could see something like this basically happening. This is for today only, where we could see a bit of a correction here to the R2, which is roughly around the 69.69 zone, and if it holds, we could see something like this happening, where the pair would reverse back to the upside and possibly test the upper bound of the 69 point the upper bound of this range at 69.96 zone. So the only thing is that, of course, don't forget that we may not see this correction at first. We could see first a test of this upper bound, and then maybe we could see a reversal back to the downside. if this upper side starts breaking and we see a daily close above this, then well, this could turn out to be quite interesting for the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen, and we could see maybe higher levels being well, should I say, it could open itself. It could open the path for itself towards higher levels. There we go. So for now, guys, probably the suggestion here is to to stay sharp, be very careful, especially with the upper bound of the of this range, and let's see how this is going to play out. But again, don't forget that we may see a bit of a correction here before another leg of buying at some point here. Probably, and yep, try to kind of keep this idea in mind because we are quite overstretched on the shorter time frame. NZDCHF, similar story, but this is what I was talking about yesterday. Basically, we needed, and well, this is where I was saying I have to admit here a little bit, I was wrong on this one. Because I was saying that we needed to see at least a 4-hour candle close here below this level near the 0.6285. Of course, ideally we wanted to see a daily close, but we did get our 4-hour candle close, and you can see that this is where this morning. And or actually, let me just double check actually this very quickly. Yeah, so the daily close never kind of happened, but we didn't get a clear close below this level. And this morning, yes, we are exploding to the upside, of course, because of the RBNZ. And we managed to break this downside resistance line, and we've managed to break above the 0.6340 level. I talked about this one when I was discussing the upside potential. So you can see that we've managed to move higher and then retrace back down, and this area right now, the 0.6340, is acting as a fantastic plateau of support, if we can say it that way. So for now, as long as it remains above this level, we are going to stay positive. We're going to be targeting the 0.6377. In case this decides to drift back down here a little bit, the last kind of resort for the bulls to step in would be if this pair decides to hold above this downside resistance line, and then if it does that, then we could see another round of buying. But for now, the main kind of scenario is to keep an eye on the 0.6340. If it holds, yep, there could be more upside to come. AUDNZD, now this is spectacular, and I looked at this one recently, and basically the pair, after it had a nice rebound here on yesterday, the pair kind of stalled during the day, and of course this morning, yep, that's the effect that we got. We dropped lower. We broke this short-term tentative upside support line taken from the low of the 23rd of October, and the target that I was talking about previously, if we see a break of this upside line, then the target for us was around here near the 1.0660 area, and we almost managed to reach that level. You can see that the pair corrected back to the upside, but to be honest, we still kind of remain skeptical about higher levels here, unless it's a small correction before another leg of selling. In a way, you could keep an eye on, of course, if this decides to push a little bit higher. First, keep your eyes on this little level here near the 1.0704. If it struggles to overcome this, and we can see that it did already struggle to do that, so in a way we could see another round of selling. We are currently targeting only the 1.0660. After that, we're going to have a look at this one again and see what it wants to do after. USDCHF. So I've talked about this one a lot this week, and basically I was saying that in order for us to consider the downside, we would need to see not only a drop below this downside line here taken from the high of the 3rd of October, but also a drop below the 0.9909 level. So that's what we've got ourselves here. So of course it drifted lower. It is correcting back to the upside a little bit, but as long as it stays below this downside line, we will now examine the downside. Now, if this, of course, starts pushing back above it, then yep, we will aim maybe for slightly higher levels. But actually, actually, guys, let me just reiterate that a little bit because it seems that, okay, right. Okay, let me rephrase this something a little bit here. So in a way, to be honest, this downside line could no longer be valid. So what we could be aiming here for, we could be drawing ourselves here is this little tentative downside resistance, the short-term tentative downside resistance line. We'll keep an eye on this one. So in a way, just for that extra confirmation, this is going to be the line to watch, because in a way what could happen here, and we've seen this happening a few times in different various different other pairs, where the previous line of course gets ignored, and then we need to draw a new one. Maybe it starts respecting a slightly shorter term one. So that's why for now, probably, guys, this is how we're going to play this one out. So in a way, we're going to keep an eye on this little downside resistance line taken from the high of the 8th of November. Now, it's still a tentative one, but the previous one was also slightly a tentative one. So in a way, for now, guys, this is what we're going to aim here for. In case this decides to correct higher and starts moving higher, the last resort here for the bears to step in probably could be around this downside line. So in a way, we could allow a decent kind of area for a correction. That's good. And then we could see another round of selling, especially if it drops below this 0.9909 level that I talked about previously. So for now, you can see that the rate is climbing back above it. Let's see how this is going to play out, because and this is going to be quite interesting to see if it actually can correct back to the upside here a little bit. And then we could see maybe another round of selling. But so far, for now, everything's kind of leaning more towards the downside. Yes, we are at a key area of support. We're still monitoring that one. But to be honest, all this is kind of right now leaning more towards the downside. So for us to start considering the upside, ideally we would like to see a push back above the 0.9975 level, and then yep, we'll aim for higher. So I do understand we're missing out quite a bit of a space here, but to be honest, for now at this point in time, it's quite tricky here. Maybe something will change later on if we see some sort of movement at a later stage, but for now at this point in time, this is the barrier for us for the upside. Quick mentioning of GBPJPY. Not much happening here. Still the pound is or should I say the pound against the Japanese yen here is still trading in this nice range, roughly between the 139.44 on the downside and the 140.70 on the upside, roughly around here. Until it gets out of this range, we're not going to really do anything here. We're just going to sit this one out and watch it. And once we get that break out of this range, then yep, we will aim for a further directional move. Short-term directional move, of course, and then we'll take it from there. But for now, we're just keeping an eye on this one. Euro dollar. So yesterday I talked about this level right here, the 1.0989. What I was also saying to keep an eye on the, of course, the psychological 110 zone. Yesterday it acted as a fantastic area of support from which the pair kind of retraced, and this is what I was saying basically throughout my few of my videos this week. Basically, we could see this one drifting lower. The only thing is right now at this point in time, unless something really happens that will trigger a strong sell-off in the euro or something that could trigger a strong sell-off in the euro, we will just continue monitoring the few very close levels here, because in a way it is quite extended already on the shorter time frames. It is extended to the downside, so a bit of correction could be possible as well. The only thing is that for now it's kind of really I would say a little bit on the boring side. So the Euro USD is slightly on the boring side right now, but unless, I mean, of course you have the full right not to agree with me, but for now, comparing it to other pairs there, yes, the euro dollar is not really that much exciting, but in general, that it is kind of moving back towards the psychological 110 zone. That's quite interesting, maybe from the bigger perspective, because if we look at the daily chart here, You can see that here we had a nice double top here. It drifted it lower, broke the neckline, and kind of continues to move to the downside. As I said, we're still targeting that 1.0989 zone. Maybe it could go a little bit lower, but for now, it could, in a way, maybe in the near term later on, it could present itself with a nice long. But again, at the moment, you can see that it is kind of drifting more to the downside. Don't get me wrong, at some point we may see here, looking at this daily chart, we may see this one drifting lower here, finding some support near these lows that we saw here in the end of September, beginning of October. Stall around here, maybe the buyers will start jumping in here again and pushing this one higher, and in a way we could be getting ourselves a nice bigger double bottom pattern. So, but again, that's a bit of speculation, that's a bit of kind of dreaming, I would say. But again, for now, of course, let's not exclude this idea. But for now, you can see that how far we have gone here on the euro dollar to the downside. Of course, there are still some levels here underneath near the 1.0405. Those levels that were met here in the end of in December 2016, beginning of 2017. But let's of course not get there yet. First, let's get kind of, let's say, sort out this little garden here, and the garden I mean by area around the 1.10 zone. Again, for now, we could see this one drifting a little bit lower, but again, you can see that the pair has drifted back to the upside here. In a way, if it travels today, let's say back above the 1.10 16 zone, and this would actually come in line with the USDCHF ID as well. So if we get a push back above the 1.1016, then in a way we could maybe see this one climbing back up, maybe climbing back to the highs of Monday near the around the 1.1044 zone, roughly around there, or even we could see this one drifting back to towards the 200 EMA, and we could be targeting maybe the area around the 1.1063. I'm still keeping an eye on this area because previously it acted as a good area of resistance and then support. So I'm just gonna keep it for now. I mean, it might get adjusted later on at some stage, but for now, yep, guys, keep your eyes on the 1.1016. If we get a push above this, then yep, we will aim for a bit of correction here to the upside. But if it continues to hold and continues to trade below this level, then still we are going to be targeting this 1.0989 level. So let's keep an eye on this one. Okay, guys, I really hope you found it useful. I do apologize for running a little bit over my time, but thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me later on at my trader's tea time, as always, that's 14:15 GMT. For now, I hope you have a wonderful trading day, guys. Stay safe, be very careful, have your stop losses in place, and yeah, please join me later on at my trader's tea time, 14:15 GMT. And we'll have a look at some of these other instruments and some new ones as well. So, yep, and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.